back, everyone, to the HR Exchange Network. My name is David Rice. I'm the editor of the HR Exchange Network and your host for everything that you see on this channel. I'm joined today by my colleague, Rhiannon Chandler-Day. She is the event coordinator for our APAC events, as well as I think you're doing our EMEA events these days too, aren't you?
Yeah, that's correct, David. Thank you very much for having me, and nice to be with you all today.
Rhiannon's based in Italy, and I'm here in the States, so we're doing this conversation at two very different times of day, as you can tell by the sun blasting on my face. But we wanted to talk about our upcoming Future of Work events. We've got a lot of cool things planned for 2021, and I'm really excited about these two events in particular. Rhee's planning the APAC event, and I'm planning the global event. And I'm interested to kind of find out what you found as you began to research the trends and the things that you wanted to address with the event.
Yeah, sure. I think Asia's future jobs are going to look vastly different. I think there's a shifting global trend with regards to skills requirements, and also the challenge of finding the right pathway forward when it comes to innovation, given the recent changes in the way we work, and digital transformation is happening faster and more than ever irrevocably across Asia. And as the kind of new normal emerges, there's a little bit of instability, I think, and business leaders need to act in a way that will make it easier for the employees. So I think there's a little bit of uncertainty, and the future of work is no exception, given the radical disruption to the workplace. And I think with companies undergoing 2 years worth of, say, digital transformation in a couple of months, I'm eager to understand how the roles of, say, automation and AI and emerging tech are actually going to help with the more collaborative approach to the future of work going forward. Does that mean the eradication of the face-to-face interaction? I'm not sure, but what have you found, David?
Yeah, I think, the last year has fast forwarded the future of work conversation quite a bit. A lot of the things that we were talking about, a year or two ago are now kind of the norm. This crisis really put us in a position where they had to become the norm. Remote work was picking up steam coming out of 2019, and now it's essentially a standard. Flexible work schedules were something that were kind of trendy. I think now we've moved to a place where it's becoming very common that you don't necessarily do things in a synchronous manner. Even the term, I told somebody on a recent podcast, I don't think I've ever heard the term asynchronous as much as I have recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's pushed us right along, and now we're seeing this conversation shift to, like, when it comes to, for example, benefits. And this is one of the things I wanted to target as we plan the event, was I wanted to have a conversation about mental health and financial wellness, kind of how they play into your benefit structure, and what are the employee expectations going forward. I think it's all shifting, the experience is shifting, and so it's going to be an interesting conversation around some of these topics.
Yeah, and I think we in Asia are looking to kind of focus on designing those building blocks of the future within HR, and also looking at not only, say, business continuity and the learning experience, given that we are going to be in still potentially a remote working environment, or the mobile environment. But I think there's a heavier focus now on the well-being and the employee experience with potentially a digital workforce. So I agree with you there. It's shaping up the agenda here to really focus on those elements. What about you?
Yeah, I think, kind of how we relate to the employee, how the lines of communication, because all of that is changing quite a bit, and how we engage with employees is changing. And I think kind of setting a standard for that, and standard policies and practices around, onboarding, training, learning and development, all of these things. This is becoming, it's changing very quickly, I should say. So I'm interested to see what some of our experts share on that. We've got some really good guests that are focused on what the future looks like. And so I think it'll be interesting to hear those conversations.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got some good speakers lined up. We've got Ericsson, Gojek, Telstra, Roche, IBM, and I think I'm looking to really solidify how we can listen to the employee more in parallel with the user experience. But equally, how are we going to define and measure business success going forward? So they're the kind of two elements I'm kind of keen to focus on. And then really kind of pushing forward on the data capability and how that could go hand in hand with the employee experience. So what about you? What's your lineup shaping up to be?
It's good. I'm really looking forward to our first session, and I think it's a good first session because it conquers a quick question that everyone should answer before they get into future of work topics, and is, what is the future of work to you? So it's kind of like, let's lay down a standard definition for what we mean by this, and then we can have a more constructive conversation around that. And so I think that's going to be a good way to start. We've got some really good sponsors. We've got so a guest from Amex that's going to be talking about benefit structures. So I think we've got a fellow from Prudential who's the head of their Center of Excellence for Future of Work, and he's going to be basically talking about a lot of the stuff that we mentioned, creating policies and that support the future of work initiatives that we're all looking for. So I'm really excited about all of that. We'll have a good panel. So I really enjoy our panel discussions. The last two that we've done have been really, really amazing. So we've gotten a lot of good feedback on them. So yeah, I think if I'm looking forward, it's going to be one that HR professionals. I really hope that when they come to these things, you leave going, "Wow, that was really in-depth content." So I think that's one of the big benefits. I know I'm sure you hear the same thing.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch on panels, I, like you, have found the panels really rewarding and they've really opened up the conversation. We've actually got one that's how do you put the employee at the center of an organization and what robust approaches can be utilized to really listen to the employee. So I'm looking forward to that. And really for us in Asia to focus on driving that common internal language between HR, the learning experience, but then also operational processes and how to create that end-to-end people experience going forward for the future of work. So I'm interested to really focus on that digital element I mentioned, and then equally I think what the audience can gain from this is how do we look at prioritizing staff well-being? What are companies doing? So we're going to be focusing on that too, and also creating the next generation of leaders. It's important more now than ever to look at succession planning. So I think from our end, for the Asia Pac event that's running on the 23rd and 24th of March, that's really what the benefits are. What about you?
Yeah, I'm excited. We were going to answer some of those same questions around generational hiring. We've got some really good stuff on just like I said, benefit structures, creating employee engagement initiatives that meet kind of the employee expectations of the future, as well as we're hoping to have some other stuff on automation and kind of the people analytics side that you would expect from a future of work event. So I think if you look at it, it's just a series of topics that are going to become continually more relevant over the next 10 years. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're in HR, I encourage you to definitely check out the events. The link to each event will be down in the description of this video. So please feel free to click those links, check it out. Both the APAC event and the global event will be down there. So if you're in Asia, please check out the APAC event. Reese sounds like an incredible lineup lined up. So yeah, I'm really excited about these. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. So thanks, David, for having me, and thank you for your time.
No problem. All right. Well, everyone, stay safe.